Hey, this is Matthew Ricks, and today on the Music Business Newsletter, we got an email from an artist who got scammed out of money, royalties, catalog. They want to share their story. They want my advice, but they also want this to be a warning to you guys to watch for the scam artists out on the internet who are just looking to steal your royalties, your publishing, and your catalog. But before we dive into that email, if you have a question on the music industry that you'd like for me to answer, just go to MatthewRicks.com, click submit your question. Give me as many details as possible, and we'll answer it here on the channel. Now for the email. He says, hey, Matthew, I just want to share my story with you and your audience to maybe help them avoid what I did to destroy my career and lose a ton of money. And I think I need to talk about it honestly. He said, about 6 months ago, I got contacted by what I thought was a legit music marketing company. There is no such thing as a legit music marketing company, people. I've been in this industry for, golly, 25 years, 27 years. There is no such thing as a music marketing company. There's just not. He said they reached out through Instagram first. You know, I talked a couple of months ago. I was going to buy a red flag. They never did it. Red flag. They hit you up on Instagram. He says then they followed up by email. Okay. He said the pitch sounded professional. They had a clean website, testimonials, screenshots of Spotify for artist dashboards. I can write a testimonial. I mean, I could go right now to MatthewRicks.com where you can listen to the Matrix Minute or submit your question with as many details as possible. And I could, write a bunch of testimonials from the Beatles. Don't mean nothing. Screenshots of Spotify for artist dashboards. Okay. And a whole deck explaining their strategy. A whole deck. What's a whole deck? Like deck of cards? I don't know what that means. A lot of stuff on their website explaining their strategies. We got to talk layman. I'm a simple man. He says, they told me my music was perfectly positioned for growth and that I was at the stage where paid promotions would finally start compounding. Do they want Bitcoin for payment? I'm not trying to beat you up, but this is just like, we're not even like a third into the email and it's already just blaring scam. He says they talked about playlists, press, targeted ads, and even mentioned a few artists I recognized. What do they... Hey, are you listening to Drake? Because I am too. What do they mention? That they work with him? He says, looking back, it was a lot of buzzwords, but at the time, it felt reassuring. Because you are desperate for something to happen, these vultures know that you are desperate for something to happen. So they throw around some testimonials that they probably wrote themselves or they got their girlfriend to write. They gas you up, tell you everything that you want to hear, and you go, oh, finally. But there's more. They quoted me for $3,500 USD for a 3-month campaign. They're going to do all of this for $3,500. All of your dreams, all of your struggle in the music industry can be solved by $3,500 for 3 months. He says, that was a lot of money for me. Yes, it's a lot of money. He says, I don't have a label. Well, obviously you don't have a label because you got these vultures hitting you up. He says, I don't have a safety net. This was money I'd saved from working overtime and skipping going out with my friends and vacations and weekend getaways. We'll continue. He says, but I convinced myself this was an investment, not an expense. Well, it was an investment and you're paying some dude's rent. That's about it. He says, the first month, everything looked great on paper. My streams jumped. My monthly listeners doubled. I would hope so. He said, I started getting added to playlists I'd never heard of. Oh, man. Yeah. The dreaded no-name playlist that's, created in Cambodia. He says they sent me weekly reports showing growth graphs and screenshots. Every time I asked a question, they had an answer. I felt relieved, like maybe this was finally the thing that pushed me forward. This is how, like, as an artist, and I'm not beating up on you, but this is artists in general. The more questions you can ask, the better. Okay, you got some screenshots. That's awesome. What does this actually mean? What did you get screenshots of? Your Spotify plays? Your Instagram growth? So as an artist, when you get approached by a marketing company and you're gonna disregard everything I say and you're gonna go, maybe I should work with them. And they want to work on they want to work on song A. Okay? If they're doing good working song A, song B, C, and D should be getting some rollover plays as well. It shouldn't just be 100,000 plays on song A, but B, C, and D get nothing. It should be not evenly spread out, but there should be some rollover. If they're doing Instagram, okay, well, I'm getting a lot of follows, or I'm getting a lot of views on this thing. But is there interactions? Are you getting DMs? Are they people leaving comments? Are they liking it? Or is it just a bunch of plays or a bunch of follows? And that's it. People loved your music so much from this campaign that they followed you but had no interaction with you. Really? You got to ask yourself the question, who does this make sense to? He continues, then things started feeling off. None of the new listeners engaged with my post on Instagram. Yep. My follower account barely moved. People at shows didn't recognize the songs with the most streams. So you're playing shows and you're like, this song just hit 1 million on Spotify. And everyone's like, we've never heard it. Your fans, your friends. They're okay. Okay. He says, when I asked this company about this, they told me engagement lags behind discovery. That's true. But if people are coming to your show and you've had a viral song, wouldn't they know the song? I mean, the engagement is they're coming to a show. You don't tell me how big your shows are or how many shows you're doing. He says, and that I needed to trust the process. By month 2, my Spotify for Artists showed weird patterns, spikes at odd hours, listeners from countries where I have zero presence, and playlists with names that felt generic and random. Dun, dun, dun. This is why there is no such thing as a music marketing company. This is what you get. I've talked about this in the Matrix Minute for 10 years. I've talked about it on this music business newsletter, answering emails. This is what happens. This is how, and I've had artists come at me, okay? DMs. I've had music marketing people come at me from these emails. You're not being fair. I'm running a scam. And then they want to show me their latest campaign they're working with an artist. Or an artist will show me that, no, see, look, the company I'm working with is great. And it never, if you're looking at a 24-hour chart, the chart never does this. It's like this. It goes up and it drops right back down. So what that means is when they press, the button on the computer to let the bot start running your song up, once it reaches the daily allotment, it dies out. That's how these bots work. Spikes at odd hours? Yeah, because you're working with a company in India or Cambodia or Ghana or Nigeria or whatever. So you're getting spikes when they're noon, which could be 1 o'clock in the morning for you. This is as predictable as the sun rising in the east and setting in the west when you're working with one of these companies. Well, and that's the other thing is you're getting listeners from countries where you have zero presence. Right. Because what they do is they tell their bot just to scour the world. I have seen artists who wanted to fight me that their plays were legit and they were getting majority of their plays from Israel. And they're like a rap group. Or, it's like this tiny little country, and they're living in the United States. Or, they would have, you know, Somalia, or it was just like the most random countries, and they're just crushing it out there. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And they're like, yeah, it does. And I'm like, how many emails are you getting from these people in Israel? Well, none. And this is when artists were having like websites, like full scale websites. And I'm like, you getting any traffic to the website? No. Well, yeah. It's because these are bots. These are computers. You're trying to scam me right now. You're trying to tell me I should sign you based on how great your song is. And it's, I guess if I ran a record label in Cambodia, you would be my first artist I would call. But this doesn't make any sense. And, you can spot this crap easily. He says, I asked him about it. And again, they brushed it off as global reach. Yeah, you live in the United States and all your plays are coming from Nigeria. Yeah. Don't worry, book that tour to Cambodia. You're going to be huge. He says, then in the third month, my music got taken down from Spotify. We've talked about this. This is so unbelievably common. Unbelievably common. He says, I got no warning from Spotify, no explanation at first, just an email saying my release were removed due to artificial streaming activity. Yep. And here's the other thing. When you work with these marketing companies and they're so good at what they do, but you're only going to get plays on Spotify. You're going to get 1 million streams on Spotify, but you're going to get nothing on Apple Music. You're going to get nothing on Tidal. The needle won't even burp on Apple Music, the second biggest music streaming place. Like, you go from 1 million on Spotify and you can't pull 10 plays on Apple Music, well, then your marketing's not that good. Is it? That's ask them that. When these people go, well, we can do this on Instagram and we can make this go viral, go, that's great. What's my rollover going to be on Apple Music? And you could talk them, they'll talk themselves into a circle. He says, I reached out to the promotion company and at first they told me it was a mistake and that they'd handle it. A few days later, they stopped responding to my emails altogether. He says their emails bounced back, their Instagram page disappeared, and their website went offline. Dang, man, dang. Okay. Yikes. Yeah. We'll be right back. He's on to us. And they just and they'll just start another company. Yep. They were music for good. Now they're good for music. Yikes, man. Yeah, so they just change everything. That's all it is. And what happens is after enough people dispute the charges, I don't think you tell us how you paid. They dispute the charges, or you file a claim, or you report them to Instagram. They just change everything after they've screwed so many artists. Because here's the thing: at $3,500 for 3 months, they only need. Look, if they're in like Cambodia, $3,500 is a lot. So they don't need that many artists, and then they'll just flip this. They'll create a new logo, and they'll just do it to the next artist. And the thing is, they'll hit up 10,000 artists because they only need 2 or 3 to do this, and then they'll flip the company and start over. He says, just like that, they were gone. He says, I contacted DistroKid, and they basically told me I'd been flagged and there was nothing they could do about it. Nope. No, there's nothing. There's nothing. Because Spotify came in and said, these are fake plays. We're yanking them. And DistroKid, TuneCore, Ditto, CD Baby, whatever is like, whoa. Because at the end of the day, TuneCore, DistroKid, CD Baby, whoever it is, they don't give a crap about you. Do you think they're going to fight for you? No, they already got their $50 from you for the year. You're the one who screwed up. You're the one who took a scam. That's where they end the deal. He said, did you know that there's no appeal process with these distributors? Yep. There's no human you can actually talk to about this. Yep. So now here I am. I'm at $3,500. My music has been removed from Spotify. My artist profile damaged. and I feel like I sabotaged my own career trying to move it forward. You didn't sabotage your career. You just got lazy. Like you didn't ask the right questions. You tried to take a shortcut, and this is what happens when you take shortcuts. He said, what hurts the most is that I didn't do this out of greed. I did it out of hope. I genuinely thought I was making a smart move. Obviously, you know about me because you sent me an email. So maybe you're new, but I talk about this stuff all the time. There is no such thing as a legit music marketing company. None. Not one. He says, I guess what I'm asking is, how do artists protect themselves from this kind of thing? There is no legit music marketing company out there. There is none. Because anybody who's actually doing promotions or whatever, they're going to tell you you're going to see your streams go up across the board. If you get a song on radio, okay, and your song pops off on radio, you're going to see it go across the board. You're not, if you had a number one song in the country, all of 100% of your plays aren't going to Spotify. They're going to be trickled over to Apple and Tidal and Amazon. It's just how it goes. So when somebody approaches you on Instagram and wants you to pay them $3,500 and they're going to do all of this stuff, it's a scam. Because the real companies, which there isn't, but if there was a real company who wanted to do this, they would take a cut of what comes in. Because they're so freaking good that they can make more off of that, just like managers. A good manager, I'm going to take a cut of your revenue. You're not going to pay me a monthly fee because I'm so good at what I do. The people who want money up front, they're running a scam. He says, is there any way to recover after being flagged on Spotify? Nope. You are donezo, man. He says, how do you tell the difference between real promotions and a polished scam? There is no real promotions companies in music. There's just not. There's absolutely not. He says, how do you rebuild confidence after realizing you trusted the wrong people? Realize you got scammed and move on. Now you're going to have to change your name. You're going to have to change your distributor. You're going to have to, go visit the people over at Ditto or TuneCore because you're done with DistroKid. I mean, you can keep working with them. They'll keep taking your money, but they're not going to release anything. They're not going to release anything to Spotify. Your, artist IP address, if you will, it's flagged. It's over. So you're going to have to change the name of you as an artist. So that means you got to change your Instagram. You got to change everything. You got to start over. Now, I wouldn't recreate now unless they blew up your Instagram account with fake followers, then you need to trash that Instagram. But if you've always maintained your Instagram followers, you're going to have to change your name. If you want your music back on Spotify, it's just the way it is. But you're playing shows where people don't know the songs, so that's weird. You're going to have to figure out if you want to not have your music on Spotify. You could become a Bandcamp bro, like all these other guys who refuse to get on Spotify. Or you're going to have to change your name. You just don't have any other option. You screwed this up. He says, I know I messed up. Yep. I just don't want this mistake to define the rest of my career. Change your name, start over. He said, thanks for taking the time to read this email. Bob. Bob, I am sorry that you got scammed. I hope you learned from this. There is no shortcuts. There is no company who's coming to save you. With the small down payment of $3,500, we can make all your dreams come true. I'm sorry you got scammed out of this, but if you would have just Googled, if you would have just asked the right questions, you would have saw this was a scam. But everything you said is so typical of what these internet bot companies are, and they're just scams. And you will lose everything on Spotify. You will lose everything by these people. And Spotify doesn't care that you got tricked, and your distributor doesn't care. And you're the one out. You lose artists, you lose leverage as an artist, and you got to start over now with a new name. I hate that it happens to you, but they're out there, and these are the same people who will rip off your grandma with a gift card scam. It's just they don't care. They could care. And like, what happened? You lose your music on Spotify, and they just shut everything down and start over under a different name. Good luck trying to track them. I mean, the one thing is I don't know how you paid. So if it was like Spotify or credit card, I would dispute it. But if it was like Bitcoin or Western Union or whatever, you lost the money as well. So sorry that happened to you. If you have a question on the music industry that you'd like for me to answer, go to MatthewRicks.com, click submit your question. Give me as many details as possible. We'll answer it here on the channel. I am Matthew Ricks, and until next time, I will talk to you later.